Good morning. Dash is now starting a trip.
Hey everybody, Some Gadget Guy here, and I'm trying something a little bit different to review an app that I've been using for the last couple of weeks that I'm really digging. It's kind of rare for me that an app will just completely work its way into my daily phone activities. We are, of course, talking about the Dash app. And the developers of Dash have designed an app that will hopefully help improve your driving habits, giving you little audio alerts whenever you do things like brake hard. But then also it's a great resource for keeping track of your mileage and maintenance logs. Dash connects to your car directly, so you have to buy a Bluetooth receiver that plugs into the little car computer port. Most cars newer than 1996, I might have that wrong, should have some type of access to the car computer, so you can plug something directly into that. I went with the generic one. It was like 20 bucks on Amazon, and just sends out a generic Bluetooth signal that my phone connects to, and then Dash reads that signal so that it's got more accurate information than just GPS. But it does work in coordination with your phone's GPS for things like mileage tracking. But once it's tapped into that computer resource, you have access to pretty much every piece of information that comes out of the car computer. And Dash gives you a really pretty UI to access that information. So if you want to see up to the second references on things like engine load, engine temperature, what your fuel efficiency is. On a lot of newer cars, you've got access to basic information like fuel efficiency, but Dash takes it even just a step further by giving you access to things like engine light codes. I mean, it's the year 2014. We're about to get into the year 2015 model cars, and when your check engine light goes on, you still don't have access to what the error code is. I've got a partially digital dashboard that if a check engine light were to come on, it should be able to give me some code that I could then go put into a web browser to see what the problem is with my vehicle. A $20 Bluetooth receiver and a free app, Dash is a free app in the Android App Store, gives you much better access to that kind of information, and it prevents you from having to take your car to a mechanic just to get the error code checked. With every trip that you start taking with Dash enabled, it starts giving you a grade, and that's to help encourage you to drive better so that you're not accelerating more than you need to, that you're not braking harder than you need to, and that you're driving in a more fuel efficient and a safer way. One of the panels that you have access to is called My Garage, and that's where you can put in any number of different vehicles. So say you're a two-car household, you can put in entries for both cars and put in all of the information that you need to keep track of those cars. So you can put in the odometer information, the VIN number, what maintenance that you've performed on the car, and that will help you keep track of how much you're spending to operate each vehicle over the course of 6 months, a year, however long you want to track it for. One of the only issues I've had with the Dash app is that multiple vehicle support. They say that it should be able to detect via VIN number what vehicle you're in, but every single time I've switched cars with my wife, I've had to manually switch what car I'm driving in Dash. Sort of a first world problem, and that could totally be chalked up to the generic Bluetooth receiver that I'm using, maybe not being smart enough to send that information over. I'm not entirely sure. But that's really a small bummer to go in and push a button to say, make this the vehicle that I'm driving. While driving along the way, you earn badges, and they can be fun little ways to detail your progress. Most of my badges are bad, and I get the hard breaker badge more than I'd probably ever care to admit. In that regard, they can be a little repetitive. Just for the gamification of the service, it would be nice if they could expand on the different badges that you could earn. The app also has a couple other fun geolocation services. Every time you fire up the app, it'll tell you where the cheapest gas in your area is, and that will also tie into your vehicle's gas tank. Because app is connected to your car computer, it knows how much gas you have, and it can start to give you alerts or warnings when you start running low on fuel. Plus, as the app is tied into your phone's GPS, it also does a pretty good job of remembering where you left your car. It'll make a note of the last known location that it had access to your car's Bluetooth receiver and drop a little marker on a map for you. Now, the app's interface for tracking your previous trips is really pretty, but I find it a little confusing in how they organize your starting location and ending location. When you start having multiple trips that you need to keep track of, it gets really cumbersome to scroll through a month's worth of lists. I've been using Dash for 2 weeks at the time this video was shot, and even with just that limited amount of information on my freelancer routes, it's already a bit too much information to scroll through. The developers are already thinking a step ahead on that, and they've opened up their API to if this then that. So if you're familiar with the IFTTT service, you can automatically plug Dash into that service. And so every single time you complete a trip, it will automatically send every piece of information from that trip: your starting location, the time, the date, the weather, the mileage, your fuel efficiency, whether or not you had to brake really hard. And then it'll even do screenshots of a map app so that you can see where you were and where you ended up. Plus keeping track of the different cars that you might be driving. And it'll automatically feed all of that information into a Google Docs spreadsheet. So each new trip you take, you're gonna get a new line on a spreadsheet. And for someone like me who's miserably bad at keeping mileage logs, even though that saves me a lot of money on my taxes, that one feature alone is a godsend, because then you can customize what information gets sent from the Dash app to the Google Docs spreadsheet. I pretty much just kept it to everything that Dash tracks. But if you only wanted to say have like your start time, end time, start location, end location, and the total distance of the trip, you could make something much shorter and much easier. Those if this then that recipes are really easy to tweak and customize. Now, I have noticed a little disparity between the fuel mileage estimates that Dash provides and the gas mileage that my car actually gets. And the developers have been pretty vocal about the fact that they still need to tweak and calibrate some of their estimates for high mileage vehicles like hybrids. I don't drive a hybrid, but I do have kind of a funky vehicle in that I drive a car with a CVT. So my car's transmission doesn't have actual gears, it's just one continuous slope of gear ratios. And that might be throwing off Dash's estimates just a little bit. I've sent my Dash logs over to the developers, and maybe that'll help them improve the service for other car owners who have CVTs. Dash does a pretty good job of staying out of the way. Because I'm paranoid and I like to micromanage, every time I get into my car, I will hit the Dash shortcut on my home screen just to make sure that the app is running in the background. But everything else is pretty much handled by the app. Connecting to my car, starting a trip, ending a trip, it's all pretty seamless. And thankfully, there haven't been any strange Bluetooth crosstalk issues. I routinely have my phone connected to a smartwatch, my car stereo, and the car computer Bluetooth receiver to run Dash, and none of them have gotten weird or fussy about having that many Bluetooth connections open. I also think Dash does a wonderful job of showing how far behind the automotive industry is in supplying smart features for cars. My car stereo has Bluetooth. Whenever I turn my car on, my phone connects to it and I can take phone calls or stream music via my phone through my car stereo. That's a great entertainment benefit. But I really want that to sink in. We've stopped at multimedia. Why is it that my car doesn't give my phone information on mileage? Why is it that I don't have access to a My Nissan app where I can connect the car via Bluetooth that's already built into my stereo and get the exact same services that Dash provides? And it is a little frustrating to think that I've got to go out and buy an additional Bluetooth receiver to connect my phone to the car's computer. So my phone is connected to my car via Bluetooth twice. I mean, you use a service like Dash and it really does illustrate how far behind we are in introducing smart services to our vehicles. All of the benefits that come with giving customers more access to information, providing them more resources to become better, smarter, safer drivers. And especially for you parents out there, I would highly recommend finding some service that you enjoy using so you can plug a car computer chip into your child's car. So when they're out driving around, not only can you low jack them via their phone, but you can also get detailed information on their driving habits. It's a little cyber nanny-ish, but really we're talking about keeping people safer and also saving money on fuel costs and maintenance. For a service that's aiming to be mission critical, Dash wants to be a primary resource in helping you keep track of anything that might be automotive related in your life. I was really happy to see that the developers are extremely responsive. I reached out to them on Twitter over an issue I was having with having multiple cars. And I also sent them an email for a little help and guidance, customizing my if this then that recipe. In the if this then that recipe that they have online, they don't have the section for vehicle name enabled by default, but one of the developers got back to me same day to tell me what the actual field name was so that I could customize my IFTTT recipe. It just makes me happy being able to report that the people behind the app are really actively working on improving the service and making sure that it's as compatible as possible with as many different cars and phones and tablets as people might want to use with it. I just can't get over the fact that this is a free app. I've toyed with other mileage logs and car trackers and maintenance logs, and most of them being built just sort of off of the phone's Bluetooth, not directly connecting to a car computer. And they're usually very rudimentary affairs. You fire up a somewhat blank looking screen that's just full of numbers, sort of spreadsheet style. And Dash has really taken the user experience to a whole nother level. It really is an attractive, smooth, and responsive app. And while I was worried about the initial setup, it was really easy to get this service going. I did have to tweak a little bit with what information and nicknaming my cars and making sure I had all of that set up properly, but I was off and running in about 10 minutes, including the amount of time it took to plug in the car computer Bluetooth receiver and pair it to my phone. So folks, it took about 2 days. It took about 2 days for Dash to become a must-download app for me. And I went ahead and splurged on 2 Bluetooth receivers so I wouldn't have to swap my Bluetooth car computer chips back and forth between the two cars that we own. If you own a car, I would highly recommend checking out Dash. You can find more information on Dash at Dash.by, Dash.by. Get it? It's kind of a pun. I, of course, have links down below this video so you can get more info on Dash and where you can download it from the Google Play Store, making sure I have you guys taken care of. As always, folks, thanks so much for watching my videos, sharing my videos, subscribing to my channel, driving me all those amazing comments down below my videos. I love the conversations we get into, and you guys have been awesome in helping me share all of this tech goodness. Hit that thumbs up button, and I will catch you all on the next review.
Dash has ended your trip.